Another Milk Crate Moments podcast, and I'm Jean Kuhn, your host. Today, I have with me Eileen Kerlin-Walsh, and Eileen is a estate planning attorney from Oak, no,
Yeah, I live in Oak Lawn, yes, but my practice is in Palos Heights, Illinois.
Palos Heights. I wanted to say where you lived, and I knew that wasn't right. So Eileen helps families who are would like to avoid probate. Would you say that's correct? That they want to avoid probate and save as much money as possible.
As well as lots of protection, Jean. We will make sure we protect family, assets, children, vulnerable family members. So it's about protection, about saving money and what you have, going to whom you want as efficiently and safely as possible.
Okay, I love that. And couldn't you listen to her all day long, right? Okay, so today, Eileen, we're going to be talking about your milk crate moment. Everybody knows mine, right? So you've heard my story a million times. So I'm going to ask, what's your milk crate moment?
So, Jean, first of all, I love your milk crate moment in your story of sitting on that milk crate on that desperate day when you really felt like had you made a huge mistake, which of course you had not, but you need to have those moments of kind of soul searching to figure out what you've done and where you're going. So, to the extent that a milk crate moment is, when did you just have your greatest challenge in your business, and where did that lead you, and how did it teach you? Mine would definitely have been when the first big housing bubble burst. If you looked at the history books, they're going to say 2008, but for us, it really started in 2007. So kind of let's turn back the clock a little bit. In the early 2000s, I left the security of a law office and started my own legal practice at home in my dining room table. My husband, boy, were we very, very high-minded and optimistic and perhaps naive, because he at the same time left the safety of his carpenter job that he'd been with for 15 years and started his own general contracting and building practice. So we started those businesses. We had only been together a couple of years. We had young children. We believed fervently in each other, perhaps, Jean, even more than we believed in ourselves. But he had so much faith that I could have my own business, and I had so much faith that he could, that we both started our businesses in the early 2000s. And at that time, the housing market was booming. There was so much new construction that my husband would have a waiting list of homeowners waiting to buy property. And I was closing those properties as well as other builders. So real estate was a huge piece of my business, and it was everything that Tom had. And that just continued as we went through the early 2000s, 2005. We built a beautiful new home. We had even bought a lake house. We really thought the good times could never end. And that's how this continued until they did end. And it feels like it was overnight, and it started in 2007. And that's, as the world knows, that's when the housing bubble burst, and our businesses both were just deeply impacted by that. Just overnight, not only, the business, nothing was selling. I mean, the real estate market just went dead. So there was lots of properties that we had unsold. And then my business, to the extent that I was closing our properties and closing other builders' properties, was just also had gone overnight. And Oshin was just a baby. So we had a tiny baby. We had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And just so many loans, so many insurance policies, lots of those properties. It was absolutely terrifying. And Jean, I think probably maybe more than anything, the milk crate moment would have been in the dead of night. My husband and I were both lying awake, both terrified, both frightened. I mean, it's a surprise that I didn't have a nervous breakdown, that he didn't have a heart attack. And you know what? We weren't even talking to each other in the middle of the night because we didn't want to worry each other, because there was enough worry to go around. And so there we were, pretending we were asleep, both of us awake. We often look back at that and think, when our marriage survived everything, going from plenty, going from feast to famine so quickly with so little preparation. that we think maybe we could just about get through anything. And how did we get through it? Jean, as you know, I'm a huge believer in personal and professional development and self-help. I remember the one voice out of the still of those times was Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now. And I remember particularly from that book him saying, even a prisoner on death row, if they could truly get into the now, they could be deeply peaceful in that moment and not look any further than that. So to try to live in the now and get ourselves through our days rather than worrying about weeks and months and years was a huge part of it. The fact that we didn't blame each other and we did say to ourselves, if we still have each other, we still have the boys, we could start back over again. And as long as we had each other and our children and our hands and the ability to work and start over again, there's a line from If that says, if you can. Oh, it's about worn out tools. It's this great line from that poem If by Rudyard Kipling. And it said, if you can never say a word about your losses and start over again and build everything back up from worn out tools. So that's really what we did. I was saved by some contracts I had with the banks who were saving, who were allowing some of the builders to sell their properties short sale.
Mhm.
So because I represented the bank, those were closings. And Jean, this is really personal, but this went all the way through 2009. So 2008 was the worst of it. We felt it starting towards the end of 2007. 2009 is when we had Edward. And I remember he had just been born a week earlier. I'd had a C-section. I remember at a closing table, and every time I moved to put papers in front of the buyers, I could feel the pain of that C-section. And I realized that I shouldn't have been at a table. I should have been home surrounded by cushions. But those were the times that were in it. We did what we had to do and we got through it. And those probably would be my lessons, that rather than lash out and blame those around you, we took responsibility. If there's anything I would do differently now, Jean, I would be looking ahead, watching the forecast, being more cautious, and kind of make sure that I would be insulated, that we would be insulated, something being so catastrophic for our family. So we built our businesses back up again. Tom never went back to building homes again because the loss was so catastrophic. But he went back to building, and he does second story additions and builds out the back for people, does beautiful work. But he always has his client. He's never going to be left with this beautiful job, and who's going to buy it again? And I built back up my business. And now here's a strange thing. This is sort of like the phoenix that arose from the ashes for me. I had done a little bit of estate planning when I was with my first office. Therefore, I did a little bit of estate planning on my own. Now, every time some big, bad, catastrophic thing happens in the world, people look to the safety of their family and their assets. So as people were losing their businesses and losing their homes and losing a lot, they looked to protect what they had. So I first realized coming out of the recession of 8 and 9, that people were really careful. Just as I was sure that we would never leave ourselves as vulnerable again, people were looking to protect what they had. So estate planning really took off for me. And then I just kept building and building my estate planning practice. And real estate came back full force. I still do real estate, but I didn't look for it to sustain my practice the way I did before. Tom built up his building again in a new, safer way. And, slowly but surely we picked up those pieces, dusted ourselves off, got our business up and running again, and back to a place of true success. But in those dark days, it was very, very hard to see that. And I think we were just definitely wiser. We were so much wiser for having gone through that. And nothing, I believe, because of the securities we put in place, we could not be that harmed again. So you grow and you grow and you grow. And, with every milk crate moment, you grow more.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great story. And I'd shared a similar story with you about a recession at the end of the 90s, right? The late 90s when there was a recession and we had lost pretty much everything and had to. So my heart feels for you because I know what that's like. If you've never lost almost everything and built it back up, I mean, we didn't lose our house, but it came very close. So,
Mhm.
um, oh man, Eileen, right? That is a milk crate hour. That's not just a moment, right?
Yeah, yeah, and we all know, Jean, that we grow through these difficult. We
Mhm,
probably grow more through our most difficult experiences than we grow through our successes, because you're absolutely forced to find something deep within yourself to be able to go on and
mhm.
to build back up again. And then we have a depth that we didn't have before, and an empathy for those who are going through it. It's like losing your parent, losing a loved one.
Right.
You never want that to hurry that up in your life. But then when you go through it, you now realize you're just now a deeper, uh, more understanding friend for someone else going through that. So we become deeper. I think back to I think it was Marianne Williamson who quoted that, um, or that a bone, when a bone heals, it's stronger in the part where it broke than it is in the other bone. Or skin, after a wound heals, the skin is more resilient than it was before. So I think we definitely, our scars and our brokenness grow us into fuller human beings.
I agree. I think, and what does anybody ever say that if you want to succeed, it's in the failures, right? They teach that at super camp. Um, fail, Failure leads to success is the way they
Mhm.
word it there. So I
Yeah.
believe that. So who helped you get through your milk crate
Excuse
moment?
me. um, so great friends, family, understandings. I remember my CPA, who's so dear and beloved to me, being pregnant with Edward. So he was born in 2009. So that was probably early 2009, sobbing in her office, in my CPA's office, whereas before, and everything was going really well. And I knew that she admired me as, a successful woman. And here I am feeling just that the world is ending, and just asking for help, and got it. Everywhere that we asked for help, we got it. We got a lot of understanding. And probably the one thing that made losing everything at that particular point, Jean, um, bearable, was that we were in good company. There were so many other people in our position. In fact, the bigger the builders were, the longer they hung on. But eventually, all their resources were used up too. The smaller the builder, they just didn't have the resources to hang on. But we got through it with our own resilience and good friends and family reaching out for help, and then not being afraid to just get back in the trench and build it all back up again, build it back better.
Build
Something like that,
back better,
right?
right? So, what would you say? What would you say to somebody who's gone through something similar and they're in the trenches of it? They're laying awake at night,
Yeah.
can't sleep because of the stress of what's going to are they going to lose everything? Are they going to? I think the scariest part for me was the thought that maybe we might lose our home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what advice would you give someone in that position?
Yeah, Jean, what do you do in that situation? It's very hard to see. You can't see a mountain when you're standing on it, right? You can only see it from perspective. So it's particularly hard when you're in it. I just reach for the things that during my life. So another very personal matter for me, as I would think about my life, would be, when I was single and in my mid 30s, and all my friends had got married and had babies, and it just seemed that everything worked out for them in a way that it didn't work out for me. And at that time, I just learned to kind of hold my own hand, be financially and emotionally independent, and learn to be deeply happy with what I already had, if that big beautiful relationship and husband and children didn't come along for me. So I think going through that really helped me be extremely resourceful, reach into myself for everything that I needed, appreciate and know that everything was an inside job. And I think now, even though I have a brilliant partner and just darling children and wonderful friends, I surely know that anything that I really need to fix or understand or feel or achieve, must bubble up within me. So I think everything comes back to an inside job. So find the resources within yourself that have gotten you through anything you've been through before. And we've been through something before. So if you haven't lost a business before, or struggled in a business, maybe you've struggled in a marriage, maybe you've struggled in a friendship, maybe you've struggled with an illness. So our lives are series of that it's never a straight road ahead and then beaming across the horizon. There's many twists and turns. So know that you got through something before and you'll get through this again, and take comfort from that. Everything you've been through before has equipped you to be that bigger, better, stronger, more valuable person than you were before. And by that, I mean more valuable to others, because ultimately our own success comes from our service to others. And the more that we know and that we go through ourselves, the more we're able to be a better friend, a better attorney, a better coach to others. Those scars just make us just stronger and stronger and stronger. So hang in there. It'll get better. Don't give up. Reach out for help. And eventually it will turn around. And this then will be, it's sort of a little bit like the donkey in the well. Do you remember that wee story, Jean? It's sort of a little fable where there is a farmer who he's kind of a mean old farmer, and the donkey, he worked it really hard all its life. And the donkey's kind of very old and not in great shape. And the farmer just thinks that he'll just toss it down a well to get rid of it rather than do anything humane. And he tosses the donkey down the well, and the donkey just keeps braying and braying, of course, because it wants out. And the farmer's telling it to stop. And then he just keeps throwing rocks at it and throwing in big lumps of clay and everything he can do to kind of polish off this donkey who just simply will not stop. And you know what happens? You've probably guessed it. The donkey took those obstacles, took the stones that were thrown at him, slowly but surely was able to walk out of the well. So those obstacles can truly become our stepping stones if we reach for our resourcefulness and get ourselves through.
I think that is so brilliant. And I think that is such a good example of, if we don't quit, listen, people who, when stock markets fall, right? You still have the stock. It might be worthless, but if you hang on to it, it may come back, right? It may come back, and it usually does.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
so I think that that's the piece there, that you just don't stop. You can't quit.
Mhm,
If you
mhm.
quit, you're out, right? If
Yeah,
you don't get
yeah,
back up,
yeah.
you're out. Let's talk about your business for a moment, because I'm
Okay.
such a big fan of yours. Let's talk about what you really do for people. I know you've helped me and my family. So what have you done, and my daughter and her family, and all of the people that we know together and their families. So
Thank you.
what do you do for people?
So Ostensibly, what I do is estate planning, which is wills and trusts and powers of attorney, and we do trust administration and probate and guardianship. But what I really do is give people this big, huge sense of relief and peace of mind and satisfaction, because I take their worries and show them that they can be protected and they can feel safe. And we do that with this structure of an estate plan. So while I give somebody a set of documents lined up with their assets, what I'm given, that's what I give them physically, but what I give them mentally is peace of mind and a sense of responsibility and a sense of security. People will often say to me, "Oh, I just feel so grown up now. I feel so responsible," as well as that worry. People often worry what will happen to their loved ones and their assets if they become ill or if they pass away. So when I've taken those two big worries off their shoulders, it just gives them such a feeling of levity and peace and satisfaction. So that's what I do. And I'm always, because like you, I am a driven person, Jean, and I'm always looking what I can do to add value for my clients and just for me and my life and my family and my friends. Over the years, I have developed a motivational, inspirational program that was in 2013. In 2017, I developed this beautiful program to help my clients leave their wisdom as well as their wealth. It's a legacy letter program. It's a workbook and a series of video tutorials to help my clients after they take care of the home and the property and the retirement accounts and the CDs and the stocks, that they take stock of their life and what it has meant and what they have gone through, what they have learned from that, and how they gift the lessons of their life and the meaning of their life to those coming after them. That is a project that I'm so proud of. And I give, we sell it. It's a program. It's available on sharemylegacy.com. The greatest value of that program to me is to gift it to my estate planning clients and just see, the tears come to their eyes as they realize that maybe what they have to give is more valuable than the stocks and the accounts, and that their life had meaning, and that can give meaning to others. So those were my last two projects, and then last year I wrote
This
a
is a
book.
big deal, right? This is a big deal. This is your first book, right?
Yes, that is my first book. So I had a CD, and then I had a program, and I had video tutorials. But being a book lover my entire life, Jean, to actually write a book was really something for me. And I'll tell you a little bit about the history of this book, and then why I wrote it last year. So in 2019, how I market my law office is maybe a little different from other lawyers. Lawyers often set themselves behind marble columns and maple paneling and brass ornaments, and kind of almost feel that they have to look very professional and kind of give off an aura of utter professionalism and the academy, in order for people to have confidence in what they do. And indeed, our clients must have confidence that we have the goods, that we can deliver the law to them and protect them with it. But that has just never been my MO. And I'm not even sure that I could have had that kind of legal ego, even if I wanted to. Having come from a poor farming background, I always brought that with me. So I market it differently. My office looks different. It's, my tagline is warmth and competence. And to me, that warmth is what separates me in the marketplace, because I want the clients to feel really comfortable. They have to talk about disabilities, and they have to talk about estrangements and illnesses, and even talking about your assets isn't easy. So I do everything I can to make my clients feel very warmly welcomed. So I belong to an organization for estate planning attorneys called Wealth Council. And in 2019, they invited me to their nationwide conference to speak to attorneys from all over the country on my particular brand of estate planning. And I took that really seriously. And I was probably invited in March. I was speaking in September. I spent the entire time in between, particularly the summer, preparing for what I was going to say. So I had a tremendous amount of material. And I was really proud of it. And I kind of poured everything I had into it. So then my business coach, one Jean Kuhn, encouraged her clients in 2022 to take something that we already had, turn it into an irresistible offer, which of course is really valuable for website marketing, speaking engagements. So I took that presentation and I tweaked it and modified it and edited it and turned it into this beautiful book, The Soul of Your Business. And really, Jean, in a nutshell, what this book talks about is the value of relationships, how relationships matter more than anything else, the value of storytelling, taking your client's story, making them, as you have taught us in Story Brand, the hero of their story, and we, the sage at the side, the mentor, taking them through their life so that they can give their family everything that they want to. I talk a lot about the brain and the body and how we are just hardwired for story and empathy, about how we, even if someone comes to us for our services, filled with adrenaline and cortisol, that just by how we treat them, how we receive them, how we listen to them, we can draw out their much more favorable responses with oxytocin and endorphins and dopamine. It's truly amazing what we can do with our understanding of the brain and our hormones and our chemicals and how that all works. And I really just kind of address the whole person, your home life, your children, your partners, your finances, your business, and how you can just pull everything together for a truly successful, peaceful, and happy personal and professional life. So I'm so excited about that book. I loved seeing a cover, a spine, my name on a book for the first time. But of course, it kind of just got me on the path. And now, Jean, this year, 2023, I am currently writing a book, the book I've always wanted to write, about my life, my lessons, and my mother, my background, and just what I feel that I would have to teach my clients, my family, my friends. So, and I've been working on that now since last November. I've kind of pulled it together. I have a structure of the rosary beads because it's deeply influenced by my mother and her faith. And I'm just really excited about it. It's a lot of work. Obviously, one of our big lessons is that we have to be disciplined with our time. I write it every Tuesday morning between the hours of 6 and 7. And I never really want to do it. And then I walk away from that hour feeling terrific about having done it. And I've already accumulated, a substantial body of work from last November. So, and if there's a lesson in that, is there is so much time in the day. There is enough time to sleep, to work, and for us to work on our own pursuits.
Well, I think you're right. And I would love to have you come back, and when your new book is out, let's do this again. Do you have a working title yet or no?
I do have a working title. It's Pilgrimages with My Mother and Other Journeys.
Oh, okay. I love it. All right. And when you come back, though, I want to talk about also Share My Legacy, which if people want to go check it out right now, they can. But right now, because we are running out of time, let's show what you have a free copy of the soul of your business for
I
everybody, right?
do, Jean. For your viewers, I have a free copy of The Soul of Your Business. All your viewers need to do is click on the link, and I believe, Jean, you will
I don't
be
know I don't know that that's clickable. It might be, but I don't know. But I'll put it in the comments.
okay.
I'll go back
Okay.
to Facebook and my YouTube channel and I think LinkedIn, and I'll put that in the comments. The soul of your business later today. Okay.
Okay, beautiful. Jean,
Awesome.
thanks so much for this opportunity. I really
Oh,
enjoyed speaking with you.
I just love you, and I love promoting you, and because I think what you do makes a difference in people's lives. It's made a difference in my life because I was one of those people that now feel like I can sleep at night, that
Yes,
everything's okay. It's all going to be okay.
thanks.
So,
And I
Eileen,
love you
thank you for being
too.
here. Okay,
Thank
take care.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.